Do you think he's really dead?
I don't know. How long's he been gone?
2 weeks, 1 day, 15 hours.
I was there the night Batman died.
When our story opens, we are in Gotham, and there's a gang war going on. And this mysterious new gang, led by this character known as the Heretic, has started taking over the criminal underworld of Gotham. Then Batman's in the middle of it, trying to stop all this.
What happens is that Batman disappears early on in the film.
It's probably the first time in a long time that Batman's been this compromised. Things are looking really bad for him.
And because of that, he leaves this void, you know, I mean, who can replace the Cape Crusader?
Batman! We need you!
In this movie, the theme of family is throughout, and it starts with kind of the surrogate family that Batman has made with Dick Grayson as brothers, almost. And then you throw in Alfred, who is kind of their surrogate father. And then on top of that, you get in Damian, who is Batman's actual blood son. Into the mix after comes Batwoman, who is an outsider to this. In the way a lot of families sometimes revolve around one person, the extended family of Batman revolves around him.
Batman has always been the glue to all of the relationships in the Batman family. So with him kind of taken out of the picture, there's a little bit of a struggle for, you know, who's the right person to follow in the footsteps.
I could have handled this alone.
If that's your best Batman, you're not gonna fool anyone.
To begin with, it's a Nightwing story.
I've struggled for years to get out of Bruce's shadow. And the last thing I want is to be wearing this damn thing.
And of course, Sean Mayer comes back as Nightwing, and a lot of the main story is driven through kind of his POV.
Nightwing thinks he's done with the whole life in Gotham. He's moved away, and then he gets pulled back in because Batman's gone.
Got a family emergency.
What Nightwing finds himself facing is the obligation of keeping the family business going.
He spent his childhood in Batman's shadow being Robin and taking orders from Batman and doing things Batman's way because he had no choice. And so getting out of Batman's shadow was a huge deal for him. And then he gets this call, and it's like, we need you, you know, you have to come back. And like a family member who's kind of gotten away from his clan, that sense of doom that, oh no, it's starting again. I have to go back and be that person I didn't want to be.
When I was a kid, I idolized him.
Nightwing keeps thinking he's out, but they keep pulling him back in.
But the older I got, the more I realized that I didn't know him at all.
There's older brother, you know, fraternal relationship there. So Batman's not afraid to tell him and give him a piece of his mind when Nightwing crosses the line. You're not Batman, Dick. I call the shots around here.
Now that you know, Batman is gone, he has to fill that role and also investigate where what happened to Batman, which brings him into contact with Batwoman. It's actually our first time introducing this character, at least in the animated universe. Kate Kane, aka Batwoman, is played by Yvonne Strahovski.
I thought you wanted me to be part of the family. This being the Batwoman's first appearance in this series is special to me. I feel lucky to be able to be voicing her, seeing as, you know, I feel like I'm creating the voice and the character. So this is really cool.
And she was the last person to see Batman, and so her investigation of trying to figure out what happened to Batman leads her to run into Nightwing, and thus they join forces into this kind of, you know, collected kind of investigation.
If you're serious about hunting them down, then we should work together.
She's a part of this family as kind of a payback because Batman actually saved her life one time, and she's paying it forward. And while inspired by Batman, she definitely still has not been trained by Batman.
Batman doesn't approve of her methods.
Batwoman doesn't really have qualms against using guns. There's a point in our film where Batman even, you know, calls her out. He's like, you know, I don't like anybody who uses guns.
And using a gun makes you just like them.
And she's like, deal with it.
I can handle this on my own. It was fun to play around with the sarcasm and the sass and the feistiness of her. Luck, anything you can do, I can do backwards. And in heels.
The events of this movie takes place, I would say, maybe a few months, maybe to half a year after the events of Batman vs. Robin. So we catch up to Damian. He's in the monastery trying to find peace that he's been trying to find from the last film when he finds out that his father's gone missing. Stuart Allen comes back as Damian Wayne, of course, and he's a spunky kid. He's super smart, and he takes direction really well, and he's a perfect match for Damian Wayne.
Who the hell are you?
Easy, Robin.
He's gone to the monastery to do his meditation, and so he's a little bit calmer, but he's still very much Damian Wayne, which means he's still a bit of a brat. He's still headstrong. He's still smarter than everyone in the room. Damian thinks it's his birthright to ultimately be Batman. And if he were older, he would have taken on the mantle and put on the costume.
There's no way you're gonna pull this off without my help.
Modest as ever, I see.
When I have something to be modest about, I'll let you know.
Even if Damian believes that someday his legacy is that he becomes Batman, I don't think he's there yet. But don't tell him I said that.
He's never been gone this long without notifying me in some way.
Alfred is no relation to anybody, but he's the real patriarch of the whole, Batcave.
Alfred pretends to be Bruce Wayne at one stage.
Why did you have to lead the team?
Because it's my company, and I can do whatever the bloody hell I want to.
Alfred hasn't reconciled that Batman is gone for good. He still thinks he's out there, and he has to cover for him. And so he's been operating as Bruce Wayne while the others are trying to find out what happened to Bruce Wayne.
Then we also have Lucius Fox and his son Luke Fox. Lucius is played by Ernie Hudson, who I'm a huge fan of.
Lucius Fox is Batman's gadget creator, maker, really, really important part of what makes Batman, Batman. In the story, we find out that Lucius Fox has a son named Luke.
And Luke has kind of got a little bit of suspicions that his father's been kind of helping Batman, and he wants to be in on it.
I came home from one war only to walk right into another one. And I want to be a part of it.
And of course, eventually in the later part of this film, he dons the armor that his father had developed, which is the Batwing. And we introduce Batwing in this film.
It's amazing to be the first person to portray Batwing. I think that, when characters are written so well and the material is so strong, you just want to do a great job. So I did some research. I have it all right here. I got all my research right here.
Call me Batwing.
Lucius doesn't want him to have anything to do with Batman.
I don't want you getting hurt.
Dad, I've had 3 tours of duty, remember?
That was war. This is Gotham.
Similar to the Batman-Damian dynamic, it's kind of a struggle between what fathers want for their sons and how a son wants to break out of the mold his parent has designed for him.
You're the one who told me to follow my own path.
The theme of family is woven through the whole movie, and it even applies to our villains. In this continuity, we haven't really seen a lot of villains team up. And they're not the biggest villains, but together they are stronger. So, a Mad Hatter, Killer Moth, Firefly, they're all villains who never stood a chance with Batman on their own, but together and led by this mysterious new leader who seems to know a lot about Batman. They become a much more potent group of adversaries than they were individually.
Heretic's crew isn't just a bunch of goons who just have guns. They've all got special powers. Like the Electrocutioner's got electricity's kind of force of nature that is actually quite overpowered, and trying to see our characters trying to deal with that and realize that just dealing with one of these villains is enough, but now dealing with a whole team of them, the stakes are way higher than they've ever thought of. And even if Batman was there, I think they'd have a pretty hard time to even handle them. So now we see these 3 characters against a crew of 8 and a lot of destruction, a lot of kind of action that we normally see in our films, but it comes kind of tenfold.
It's definitely action-packed. I mean, there's a lot of adventure in this. There's a lot at stake in this story.
We're viewing this as a real action-packed movie with big scale, over-the-top set pieces.
A lot of action sequences, whether it's a chase sequence involving vehicles to like hand-to-hand fighting to gunplay. I mean, this movie's got it all. It's got. I think this is the closest thing that we have maybe to like a James Bond mystery. I think out of anything, it's kind of got this kind of spy thriller kind of feel to it, and it's kind of fun in that way. I think the fans will get a kick out of everything because again, I'm a fan too, so I try to create things that like in my head, like what would I want to see. The disappearance of Batman actually brings together quite a few different forces.
Batman is kind of the person who guided the people who he's worked with. And so now that he's not there, they're making mistakes, they're doing things a little recklessly.
And, you know, everybody's motivations at the beginning seem to conflict a little bit.
Our first priority is getting these people out.
Not mine.
But they find a way to come together for the good of the family.
This isn't going to be easy.
The theme of family runs pretty deep.
It's not always a bloodline that defines a family.
It's really smart the way they've written this, and you know, you see this Bat family of sorts and how they're trying to work out the relationships with each other, but also how they're trying to figure out, you know, the best ways to kick ass. It's really cool.